All right, welcome. Usually we talk about mortgages and business, but today we're talking about some football. Yes, that says Chelsea FC. He's got a little Man United stuff.
Worst team
So,
ever.
yep, so he's the best team, the worst team. We were talking the other day, specifically, Carlos and I used to be professional soccer referees in a long eon ago. Actually, it wasn't that long ago.
Feels like an age
Yeah,
ago.
but it was like 4 or 5 years ago that we
hmm
were doing super high level games. And we were talking about some of the controversial things that people have been discussing about the World Cup, specifically the Balogun foul and whether or not it was a red card or not.
It wasn't even a foul.
Yeah, not even a foul, mate. Not even
Yeah,
a foul. And
play
oh
on.
my gosh, it looks just like the Messi foul. And we were talking about it. And I said, we're gonna do a podcast and just talk about this because it'd be fun. Actually, I mean, it's really for us more than anything. We were gonna talk about it anyways. We figured we might as well do it on camera. So overall thoughts on the World Cup as of right now, and then we'll get into some specifics with some detailed breakdown of nerdy soccer law language about the difference in red cards and the criteria used to determine whether it is red, yellow, or nothing.
Yeah, we're gonna go into way too much detail,
Dude,
so be prepared to be
but I'm gonna
bored.
feel good about it.
It's
Gonna
gonna be
feel good.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yep.
feel very
So
educated.
overall thoughts. What do you think?
I think it's been great. It's a big change because the format expanded. There's more teams, and so I think a lot of people were worried that it was gonna be boring in the group stages, and there
Yeah.
has been some boring games, but overall, I think it's been pretty good. There's been some surprises. The big teams have done what they're supposed to do. They've played well. They've won games, but yeah,
Well,
I think it's
most of
been
them.
good.
R.I.P. Germany. Which I'm
Yeah,
Polish, so I'm
yeah,
okay
but
with that.
we can't get into Germany um, in that game against Paraguay. Paraguay just parked the bus
Yeah, they did.
and just did what they had to do. They scored the early goal and then took it to penalties. And then Germany, who historically are super good in
Yeah.
penalties, just kind of crapped the bed.
Yeah, and they geez, that was because that was the game where they were down what 3 or 4-2 on penalties or something, and they're 3-1 and then saved two, and it
hmm
was like, hey,
Yep.
you have to score both of these next two penalties, and you have to end up blocking both of them or saving both of them.
Yep.
Which, by the way, as a side note, there used to be things we were pretentious about as professional referees. Offside, not offsides, and
Don't add the S.
kicks from the mark and not penalties. And I feel like they've changed all of it now
I,
and handling versus handball, and now they literally just adopted the vernacular of the peasants, and we have to come down to that level, and it's
I,
super annoying.
I think the language is always going to be misunderstood by pundits and players, and they're always going to just say what they're going to say. And so it's really just nerds like us who actually know the rules and the framework,
Laws,
the law.
freaking
You
a,
see, you
dude.
see, it was always him who was pretentious
Yeah,
about it. But yes, we're the ones who know the language of the laws, and so we're particular about that stuff. But the general fan or a pundit or even professional players, they don't give a crap about
yeah,
that.
that's true. Although, did they change penalty? Is it penalties now, or is it still kicks from the mark?
In the laws of the game, it's kicks
Is
from
it
the
still
mark.
kicks from the mark?
Yeah,
Well,
but
they changed handling to handball,
yeah, that's
and
true.
they changed offside to offsides with an
Yeah.
S. So I didn't know if they had changed that one too. It would make sense.
Well,
But there's
and
no
yeah,
penalty. You can't. There's no penalty, so you're not punishing a penalty. It's kicked from the mark.
but again, it's been what 4 or 5 years since we were
Yeah,
reading those every single
yeah,
year and
yeah,
getting recertified. So maybe they changed it, and we're the ones who are behind.
yeah. I've been in the industry 5 years, so I think it's been 3 years for me. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, I stopped when I was 35. I think I stopped a year before
It's
you.
like 10 years
So
ago.
I know it's
Yeah.
like 40 years ago actually.
Okay, so overall, games have been good. I've actually been super surprised. So I'm a person that used to be really into it. We both played college ball together at Bryan College. Shout out.
We're
What?
aging ourselves
Yeah,
now.
0 at 05 to 09. I was 06 to 10. So when you're watching this and it's 2046, and we'll be ancient. But my thought process when I was in college was, I was just totally into it, and I think it was it 06 World Cup when Drogba balled out. It wasn't in Africa, but I think it was 06. It was 06
Yeah.
World Cup. I became a huge Drogba fan, hence the reason he played for Chelsea, and I became a Chelsea fan. And I don't really care that much anymore. So it's weird because it's those things that we used to care about so much. Pay attention to all the games. I just decided I'm going to pay attention to the Redskins. I'm going to do business. I'm going to do church and family life, and that's kind of it. I don't have space for it. But when the World Cup comes on, it changes.
Well, everyone cares about it. And what's funny is I think I probably care about the World Cup a little bit more. I've
Yeah,
watched more of the games
totally.
than you have. It's also our slow season for
Yeah,
business, and so I have that luxury. I've been closing the office a little bit early. But you still play.
yeah,
And people
yeah,
ask me all the time, like, will you ever go back to rafting? Will you ever play? And I'm kind of just like over it on the personal side,
yeah.
but on the professional, like watching it, I'm still just as invested as I always was.
I will play if it's under 80 degrees. That is my old man status now. As a 37-year-old, I decided this year, I've been complaining for years, playing in 96-degree heat and being mad at the world 5 minutes into a 90-minute match. So I've decided that I'm going to table that, and when it is reasonable again, I'll go out and play.
Yeah, there's something about that 100-degree turf, and
It's
you've had a
stupid.
bunch of knee
It's
surgeries
stupid, dude.
too,
Yeah.
so you
I haven't
gotta
had
be
any knee
careful.
stuff though in a long time.
Yeah.
It's been 15 years since a knee surgery, but
Yeah.
all the other things, you know.
Anyway, the World Cup. I mean, there's been really good games, and there's been some surprises. How many games have you actually watched, or just like
Full
portions
games,
of games?
I think full games, it's only probably been 5 or 6. But I've watched every single the 20-minute extended highlight,
Okay,
which
yeah.
obviously is not the full game, but 20 minutes over a 90-minute match, like it's a good, you can get the gist of it. I don't like just watching the goals. I think
Yeah.
like that kind of sucks. And like last night, my oldest boy turned on the Portugal game. Did you end up watching?
I watched the highlights.
Bro,
Sometimes I'm an old
watched that
man.
live.
I went to sleep.
So I watched the end of that live, but the end of the Portugal game is insane. I mean, they end up Portugal scores in extra time, and then Croatia scores in extra time, and then they call it back. It doesn't look like it touched the guy's head, but you have a chip in the ball, so it resets the offside call.
Mhm.
Wild. I think the craziest thing about that is when they were going to VAR for it, everybody's losing their ever-loving mind,
Yep.
all right? My wife's talking to a kid, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you got to watch this. So I pull it back, rewatch it, and then when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, he might have hit that. It
Yep.
resets, he's offside. I was like, Elizabeth, everybody's going to lose their mind.
Mhm.
The uniqueness about that is that I was thinking, well, shoot, if Croatia scores, there's 10 seconds left. They had already subbed off Ronaldo. They had subbed off, who's the other really good
Bruno
Portuguese guy?
Fernandes.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes.
Shout out Manchester.
Yeah, and then there was another dude that they had subbed off. They had
Yep.
subbed off their attacking players to put in people to park the bus because there's only 5 or 6 minutes left.
Mhm.
And if they got scored on, they would have been in 30 minutes of extra
Yep.
time
Well, and that's the
Ronaldo.
that's the crazy
and Modric
part
would have
about it.
cooked.
Well, I mean, he's 40 years old too.
He's
He
so
would
good.
he was
Modric
tired,
is
but
so good, dude.
the Croatian team, was and is, getting older. But you see Perisic, he was the one who scored
Yep.
the first goal, and then Croatia had 2 balls in the back of the net that got called back for offside. So they had one in like the 70th minute, 80th minute, something like
I saw
that.
that one too, yeah.
That would have made it 2-1 offside, and then that one that you're talking about. And a lot of people don't know. They see the extra time, the added time. It was 10 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's a minimum. The referee can always add a little bit
Well,
more.
it was 10 minutes, and then a goal was scored, and there was a
Exactly,
delay,
exactly.
and they had substitutions, which some of those you don't add for. I actually always forgot which part you added for, which you didn't, to be fair.
That's why I did that part.
Yeah, I totally messed up. That's why I was a professional flag holder. But yeah, that was super interesting because it was like the 112th minute.
Yeah, it was over the 10 minutes, and I've had that conversation several times. They're like, the time's up, and I'm like, nah, the referee's really in charge of the
It's a
time
minimum of.
once it comes to that. But yeah, it's a minimum of, and that's another one of those like weird language things that the common person, the common fan, and even a lot of players just don't understand what the actual laws
Too,
are.
is they're just trying to get in your head, like stop it. If you're gonna wait a minute and somebody's just in your ear for 50 seconds, you might be tempted to stop it at 56 seconds. There's not 4 seconds, right? Like, so there's mind games.
Yeah.
Too. It's half of it's psychology.
But that was one of the big things. Like, I'm obviously wearing my Manchester United jersey, but when Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge, literally the extra time was called Fergie time because we would score so many goals, have a bunch of comebacks, because it would always seem to get pushed a little bit more. We would always have a little bit more time if we were losing and a little less time if we were winning somehow. I don't know how that worked, but, shout out Sir Alex Ferguson. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of goals that happen, let's call it from the 80th minute through extra time, because players start to get tired. Things just happen.
Turkey, which everybody's switching their country name. I mean, just come on. 250 years of United States of America. Okay, can you not just stop changing your name? Czechia,
get with it.
Turkey.
Get with it. It's Turkey.
Yeah, there's like 6 more. Everybody, listen. All right, Nihad, you're gonna get mad at me. Tariq, you're gonna be mad at me. I don't even know what Herzegovina is. Never heard of it.
Herzegovina.
I know Bosnia just because I know my boys Nihad and Tariq. But Herzegovina, where is that?
Same region.
Yeah. Well, where is Bosnia? I don't even know. So I don't have time for that.
Geography wasn't
Yeah.
your.
Well, oddly, I'm actually pretty good at it. But listen, Uzbekistan. I had to figure out where that was. I went to Uzbekistan and DR Congo. Didn't even realize there was 2 Congos. I mean, I
Yeah.
had to learn that at the game. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Well,
that's kind of an overview.
Let's talk for a second here because you mentioned DR Congo, and I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things
I went to that game in Uzbekistan. It was cool.
was
There was
fun.
a lot of things that Uzbekistan had to win by 5 to move on, and they scored 22 seconds into the game,
So they thought they had some hope.
and then it was offside.
Oh yeah.
But the game was so wide open because Congo had to win,
Mm-hmm.
and Uzbekistan had to win by 5. So it was just a super wide open game. Multiple goals called back because of offside. One of them, Congo scores a banger of a goal, and they call it back from a foul that happened 25 seconds beforehand. It was kind of like a light touch to the face. I don't know.
Yeah, he stuck his.
Yeah,
he
that
like
one
swatted him.
I wasn't a big fan of that one, and I'm usually on the referee side with that stuff. After you look back, I didn't think that was a clear and obvious error personally, but is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was a great game. They were down too. It's down 1-0. So I mean, seeing an African team, like African South American team, dude, if it's, I don't know, pick a Belgium and I don't know who's a team that's in Europe that's not like kind of stuffy. Give me a Europe
Stuffy? What do you mean by stuffy?
Like just a bunch of stuffy non Germany
Or
if
Scotland?
No. Scottish people are lit. Okay, Scottish people are lit. But I mean, if it's Switzerland and they're playing Belgium, that stadium's not going to be wild.
Oh,
I
see what you mean.
Congo,
yeah.
If Congo's
they're going
playing,
crazy. Yeah.
If Congo's playing Mexico, I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah.
So we had Uzbekistan, which they weren't going crazy, but the Congo people were.
Yeah.
They're
dancing,
like
they're singing, they're having a time.
So at halftime, though, they're down 1-0, and they ended up scoring 3 in the second half, and it was pretty cool. It was a fun experience.
Yes, I bring up the African nations because I think it was the Italian coach when they were about to get knocked out of qualifying. He was like, "Why are there so many African nations qualifying, and why are there so few coming from Europe?" They kind of have this holier than thou or bigger than thou thing in Europe against these African nations. And I think it's 8 of the 9 got through the group stage. And they have been absolutely entertaining, good soccer.
England. Congo was beating England. I know England's good and Harry Kane's great, but
they're so athletic, and their ability to play the actual game has gotten so much better in the last 20 years. I think so many people underestimate them, but dude, these African nations are good. Senegal, Morocco,
Senegal,
Cote d'Ivoire, dude.
Didn't Senegal they were. Oh, I think Senegal was kind of robbed with that penalty. I don't know.
Well,
we
talked about
with
that.
His right foot. They touched his plant foot. I just was like, I get it, and it's totally justified. But that one felt harsh.
Well, in extra
time.
we refed. VAR was starting to come in. There was some in college. There was some.
I never had to use it. At the ACC, they had it, and I didn't have to use it.
So I used it once or twice in college, but generally we didn't have it. And as a center referee, And so in a moment like that, when you're right on the edge, you're about to go to kick from the mark. Dude, as a center referee, I just swallow the whistle there.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not making any decision.
No.
I'm just going to let it happen.
It's got to be clear.
And then you guys sort it out in the actual kicks from the mark. And that felt more fair. Now with the technology, cameras everywhere, can't really get away with that. But that's one of the arguments against VAR because they feel like it's killing the game.
The technology is giving a lot of certainty, though. I mean, you've seen it. When they go and they look afterwards and it's like, hey, we're going to review this. I felt like we dealt with way more dissent.
Oh, yeah.
So much more dissent because it was based on referee discretion.
Correct.
Or the snapshot. I mean, it's the lag time as an assistant referee with the speed that's taking place and players moving in opposite direction.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wild, and there was definitely things that were missed. I mean, even the best people were still missing stuff, but now it's never going to be missed.
For sure.
At least offside, it's never going to be missed. I mean, the tech is too. Well, maybe with this ball chip thing. There's this ball chip stuff with touching his hair. That game last night, it was kind of wild.
And it boils down to the black and white decisions, right? Like that was the stuff you were dealing with. Like if you're offside, you're offside.
Yeah.
And the camera and the VAR technology has cut out the mistakes there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the application of the VAR in the red card decisions, which is what we're going to get to with
Yep.
the USA and a couple other ones, those are still a little bit subjective. And the language around the VAR stuff is, in order to go to review, it has to be a meaningful action in the game, right? A goal, no goal
Yep.
for offside, a red card, potential penalties, things like that, like
That's
big
pretty much
things.
it. Yeah.
And the language is clear and obvious error, which I think you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Now, can we truly say that the Balogun red card was a clear and obvious error? Can we say that, that little touch was on that offside call for Croatia, was it a clear and obvious error?
Well, that one, they say the ball technology says that the ball
Exactly,
was touched. And
yeah.
So they do say it's a clear and obvious
So
error.
then
It
it's
feels
justified.
So harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels harsh, and it takes the momentum, and it's kind of a joy kill and all that, but it is what it is. The facts are the facts.
Yeah. So then let's go back to the Messi challenge in the first game and how that is different than the one that we saw for the USA, because a lot of people are saying this is the same thing. This is the same exact challenge.
Which is wild. I actually just watched, that was the first time I watched the Messi one, was this morning, and I watched it where people were trying to say, like, look, the Balogun, and it was split screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're not even the same. So the Messi challenge, Messi comes and he makes contact at the bottom part of the calf, potentially, and the force is not crazy. Now, granted, he's challenging from behind more than Balogun.
Correct.
To be fair. But the force is not crazy. Now, does it deserve a yellow card? Yeah, it probably deserves a yellow. Not probably. It deserves a yellow
and
card.
So let's make a distinction here.
But you can't review a clear and obvious yellow card
Exactly.
miss. You only can review a clear and potentially
well,
obvious
if he
red
had
card.
given a yellow
He
card,
could have looked and made
then
red.
VAR could have intervened if they thought it was a clear and obvious error. There was no yellow card given, and therefore they didn't even consider it. And again, was it a clear and obvious error? We'll never know, because it's Messi and FIFA wants to keep him in the tournament. Let's just talk about how the challenge was different, right? Like you said, hits him on the calf, not a lot of force, but one of the language
Pulls
things
away pretty quick.
Yeah, but the language thing that we talked about, and you've highlighted both of them, was point and mode of contact, right?
So let's nerd out for a quick sec before we get into that. 4 categories for red cards, right? You have denying an obvious goal scoring by handling, which they may have changed it to handball now. Denying an obvious goal scoring by foul, so it's challenging for the ball. Now they have subcategories where it's inside or outside the penalty area, and inside. There's actually an opportunity for it to be a yellow now, which is odd still to this day. You have serious foul play and you have violent conduct. The difference between serious foul play and conduct, and then college is fighting. But the difference between serious foul play and conduct is that serious foul play is challenging for the ball. Violent conduct is the ball's not there.
Yeah, if I punch you in the face.
There's usually way more malice involved on the violent conduct piece.
Right.
You do not have to have any sort of malice necessarily with serious foul play. So there's, when people keep saying you have malice or you don't or whatever, I'm like, cool, that is a consideration, but that's not the only consideration, right? Straight leg would be a consideration, right? Force would be a consideration. The mode of contact and then the point of contact. So the mode of contact is which part of you is making contact.
Right.
It's the hard part, the bottom of your cleat, the bottom of your boot. And what did it make contact with? The back of the calf for Messi, and the back of the calf all the way down to the Achilles, and freaking pushed his ankle into the center of the earth. Now,
for Balogun.
Is there intent? No, there's not any stinking intent. It sucks. Well, I was watching the game in Atlanta at the Fan Fest, and immediately when they showed the replay, my wife was gone, but I looked at my brother and I said, they're giving him a red card. And there wasn't anybody. I mean, I'm sure there was another person, but there was no one in there that knew what was coming, and I knew it. I'm like, they're giving him a red card.
Correct.
There's no way they're not, and he's freaking awesome. Balogun is a baller, dude.
Yeah, I was at Barrel House Ballroom downtown with some friends, and there's a bunch of people in there, and everyone's losing their mind. And the second they went to VAR, people started asking me, and it's great to watch games with new fans or people who don't necessarily know the rules. But it gets exhausting. First of all, you just get asked questions the entire game. It's great. Happy to explain.
I like it. I'm not exhausted.
Yeah,
different personalities.
We have different personalities. I'm like, I'm just watching the game, bro. But immediately, people are like, "Are they going to give it to him? Why would they give it to him?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're going to give him red."
Happen.
And then after the game, even more people, because there were people in there that I knew on the other side, they were like, "Is that a red card? I don't think it's a red card. Do you think it's a red card?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a red card." And then they immediately go in on me. I was like, "Well, why'd you ask?"
Yeah.
Like, you wanted my professional opinion. I gave you my opinion. You just don't want that to be true. But I think we're both on the same page. that's a red card, but it is different than the Messi foul.
I wanted so bad for it not to be so bad, and because it made the game wild too. Because now
Yep.
we're down a man and we score another one. I mean, it was pretty wild. But
Yep.
there, obviously, so the challenge is relative. It's from the side, kind of behind. He's challenging for the ball. He's definitely not by any means. I don't think there's any malice at all. He's trying to find the ground.
Yeah,
And
it's an
that's
accident.
what was odd too, is Clattenburg was talking. I was like, aren't you supposed to be our referee liaison? Like, I was surprised hearing him talk. It made me doubt a little bit of my opinion, because obviously he's the professional that did X, Y, and Z. But they mentioned the malice piece. I think that was more of a spectator looking at it than it really was a professional referee opinion, because it was. I don't know if I want to say that it was absolutely clear and obvious, but when you go through the criteria quickly, and that was one of the things that we were really trained on, is, hey, you don't go in with it just feelings. A feeling might make you start going through the criteria, but the criteria was the mode of contact, the point of contact, the force, and there's another couple things that go into that. But those are really the three that you look at, and when you looked at it, it was, man, this mode of contact and the point of contact, it is hardest surface as you can get with the softest surface you can get. And it sucks that if he would have slid down the leg and he would have planted on the ground, it would have been a yellow card. Actually, they probably wouldn't have given a yellow, and it would have been fine. But the fact that it just kept coming down, and then all the force takes place on the ankle. The last thing that is really important that I'm surprised we haven't mentioned, it endangers the safety of an opponent.
It's one of the biggest criteria there for serious foul play. It wasn't, even though you could consider it a reckless challenge, which would make it a yellow card, the fact that it happens on the ankle and you see him come down with almost all of his weight on that ankle, and the ankle bends the way that it did, Jesus, that's scary.
That was rough.
And I've heard a lot of pundits kind of say, well, he didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, he's trying to find the ground.
He's trying to balance himself. And as referees, you don't judge intent, you judge outcome.
Yeah.
And
hey, the Bosnian player, I know that he wasn't trying to, but he's trying to find the ground. Well, guess what? Bosnian player's ankle's there.
Yeah,
sorry.
It was there first.
You can't put it there.
Yeah. And so you imagine in a different outcome of that situation, that dude breaks his ankle. And that's something that gets considered as well, because going back to your point, it endangered his safety. He could have broken his ankle. And when you look at it like that, I know it's difficult.
It looked like
in real time. Yeah, exactly.
The problem is 10 minutes later he's running back on the field, and that's where everybody's
and everyone's fine.
And like anybody who's played sports, you know that you can get a crazy stinger. You can spray on the magic spray. You can do some stuff, and your adrenaline can get you going.
Correct.
His ankle is probably black and blue.
Yeah, and it's
probably black and blue.
It's going to hurt.
You can't judge it based on the adrenaline, all the endorphins hit. You're at the World Cup, and you're like, I gotta go. You can't judge that.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see just the way the laws of the game get interpreted, right? We had this little book for the laws of the game and what the actual black and white stuff, and then we had this real big book just on interpreting the way the fouls and the offsides and the subjective things.
It's like a Bible and a concordance.
There you go, exactly right. And people just don't understand the language. People don't understand the criteria of what the referee is looking for, and you just take a lot of dissent. You take a lot of nonsense from people who don't understand what the ref is actually looking for. And it's hard because you're making the right decision as a referee. The players don't understand it. Fans, definitely coaches don't understand it, even though they should. And it makes that job really, really difficult. And I think that it takes away from the love of the game as a referee. You have to have really thick skin. And it just causes misunderstanding with everybody. But I think he got that stuff right. And most of the decisions from the referees in the World Cup, there's been a couple weird ones, but they've been really good.
Yeah, they have overall, which is, especially when you have the technology, I think that's what it's done, is it's made it so that you actually are making the correct decision. I think it would be helpful if, when they explain the VAR piece, the problem is English is a second language for a lot of the refs, but if they would use the considerations, if they'd say, hey, it was a straight leg, it was the bottom of the mode, here's the point, and it endangers the safety of an opponent, I think that the general public would understand a little bit more. And it doesn't give the pundit the ability to go and say this, and this. It's like, no, endanger the safety of an opponent. Boom. Endanger. What I found is when they started coming out with the considerations, which was not all that long ago, it was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little bit more, when I was a professional referee as a flag holder, let's say a professional assistant referee on the side that's not collegiate. Collegiate, I held the whistle a lot more, and holding the whistle and explaining your yellow or red card decision became so much easier when you went through the criteria of, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened. They'd be screaming at you, that's not a red card, and you'd go blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
you'd explain the 3 criteria quick, and you just do it over and over again, and there's nothing that they can do other than respond in emotion. And at some point, the alligator brain comes down a little bit and the logic sets in. And I found that it actually helped a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it took a little bit to get over the initial emotions of some things. But,
Yeah, and they're doing the short, concise explanations right over the PA or the stadium audio. But I think you're right. They can only explain so much there, and there's only so much that the fans are going to understand. The pundits are going to understand. They're always going to have that emotional side. But I think you're right. If alongside that, right, say the referees using his language in a short, concise way, but then if there was some sort of understanding of what those criteria were and those got put up on the
Yeah.
screen, or if
that would be helpful if they were put up on the screen. If the pundits actually knew.
Exactly, if the pundits could afterwards look at and say like, okay, they might not agree with those criteria,
Yeah.
but those are the criteria that FIFA have told the referees, this is what you use to make decisions. And then things would just get a lot clearer for everybody. And it's not going to take away the emotion. Like, that's the thing that we love about this game, is the emotional roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking with people about that recently. You know, that the extra time last night with Croatia and Portugal, that emotional roller
That was
coaster
wild.
is just like, dude, like, that's why people love this game. Watching Ecuador beat Germany in their last group stage game and then go through, you see the coach jumping up in the crowd, you see everyone crying on the field, and like, that's what makes the World Cup special. It's kind of sad that the referee decisions get thrown in there and then emotion interprets those. But dude, this is why it's a spectacle. This is why the world loves this stuff.
There was another team, I don't know if it was like Tunisia or Algeria or something, that they got scored on in extra time and they were not going to go through. And then they scored with 10 seconds left and it literally put them through in the group stage. It's just silly. So, only other comment here. We were talking about, this player could have played for this team and the African teams and stuff. I would be, and they're never going to do this. It doesn't matter. But can you imagine if they said you had to have lineage of a generation
Oh,
to be
yeah,
able to
interesting.
say, like, you got to have a lineage. For instance, Holland was always Norwegian, but he could have played for England. Can you imagine Holland up top with freaking Kane? Dude, that would be wild. But anyways, totally different story. But, somebody like Olise's he's African. There's another, you hear all the time, they're like, hey, this guy from Cape Verde, he played for Cape Verde, or was it Cape Verde? Yeah, it was Cape Verde. Hey, he's playing for Cape Verde. He actually could have played for England. Now, granted, maybe he couldn't made the English team, and that's why. But there was a Senegal player that was really good. I just listened to it this morning. There's been a couple players that were really, really good that had the ability to go. I mean, shoot, Ronaldinho could have played for Portugal. Right? Like, there's Balogun could have played for England. I mean, we have a couple people like that. So Pulisic could have played for Italy, or there was a player that we had that could have played for Italy, or what? Maybe it was a couple World Cups
I think
ago.
Pulisic, his family was Croatian, actually.
Croatian?
Yeah,
makes sense.
That itch at the end.
But if you had a maybe a generation, that would be really interesting, because I actually think if you look at France, half of them are freaking African. They're African.
Well,
England has several Africans.
One of them, I don't know what team it is, but there's 2 brothers in the World Cup, and one is playing for the African nation, and the other one is playing for a European.
It was a center back for Germany, and then the other one was for Belgium.
Yeah,
I can't
something
remember
like
what it was, but yeah, that thing is kind of crazy for me, because it's the World Cup to me is supposed to be its nationality, but then you end up having a couple different options. So that's been interesting. But I thought about that when you were saying, hey, there's 8 teams went through, and every World Cup game you hear, hey, this person actually could have played for this team if they wanted to. And a lot of times it's, Belgium has a couple of guys that are from Africa, or when they were 14, they ended up moving to, there's a Colombian, I think that's what it was. Oh, that's who it is, the Mexico guy. who's the black guy from Mexico that scored Quinteros or something?
No.
There's a guy that plays left mid. He scored 3 or 4 goals already. He scored in this knockout stage. He's good.
Yeah.
He's from Colombia or Venezuela. He ended up moving to Mexico when he was 15 to be in the Mexican system, to be a professional. He played professionally in Mexico. He played U20 for, I think it was Colombia.
Yeah.
He played U20 for Colombia. And then they ended up saying, hey, yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to come. And then 2025, he gets his Mexican citizenship and he says, I'm staying in Mexico. And he's one of their baller players.
Yep. Well, and as long as you don't have one cap for the full international team, then you can make those
choose.
decisions. Yeah. And so you have a lot of people who play at a younger level on the national teams, and then it's like you said earlier, they kind of decide where they're going to be able to play the most, or where they're going to have the most success. And even if France
is balling out of control, and I don't know if Elise is one of them, but if you're Elise and you could play for just pick wherever he's from, originally, just imagine what that looks like. Or I mean, because Mbappe's been in France, so there's a couple that were like that. Like, imagine if that guy didn't have the choice, or you do have the choice. You say, hey, I'm going to play for a team that potentially not even going to make the World Cup, or I'm going to play for the reigning World Cup champion who are by far the favorite. What would you choose?
Yeah, that seems like an obvious one. But yeah, I think that definitely does change the landscape. And I think there's more and more African top-level players who are choosing to stay with their African national team. And so then that's making their level go up. And they've been really great during this tournament after some weird comments from other national team managers. They've kind of shown out, and Morocco has a good chance. I was sad to see Senegal go out. My guy Ahmad from the Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. Remember all the weird names.
It's Côte d'Ivoire. Je parle en français, but
he's making stuff up now. It was great to see him ball out, and they went out at the very end of their elimination game. And so it's been a fun World Cup. It's been a different World Cup, but it's great. It's actually really cool to see all of the national team fans coming into the United States.
Yeah, it's cool.
And there's a togetherness in people showing their humanity and getting along that we often don't see in the media. Now they're eating Waffle House and ranch, and it's kind of a big deal. But
refills on drinks. That's why you got to get Coke Zero.
Exactly. Well, I don't even drink it, but that's why you have Coke Zero. But there's no malice amongst the people and the fans, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about the World Cup is, like, for a month, all that political nonsense, all the media, all that goes away.
Except
and
they
it's
moved
just
all
people.
The Iran games. Iran has to play in Mexico instead of the U.S.
Oh God, yeah, that was nonsense. That was absolute nonsense.
Can you imagine if you're a team that was going to play Iran and you were planning on coming to the U.S. and I don't care if you're going to Mexico or the U.S., but you have your travel plan set. You're like, dude, we're gonna go explore freaking San Francisco. This is great. And then all of a sudden it switched to Guadalajara, which is not bad, but it's just a totally different experience. To go to Mexico City, or to go to New York, or to go to Miami, or to go to Atlanta. It's a totally different experience. But...
Well, I'll say this. My parents are retired down in Mexico. And let's just say I've been getting some wild text messages from my mom during these Mexico games. A few too many margaritas. But they are dancing in the streets. They're freaking out.
Dude, Mexico looks good.
Dude, they look good. They've won all their games. And now they play they play England in Mexico City.
They're going to win.
That's a potential upset because
win.
England has looked like trash. They're getting through because Harry Kane's good, but there's a lot of squad controversy about the team that Tuchel took, and that's a potential upset. I think Mexico could win that game and make some history.
That would be lit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Mexico City winning the second round of a World Cup game
against England?
I mean, there's going to be freaking AKs in the streets.
Seems real crazy.
Going well.
Allegedly, we don't know anything about that.
What else we got? Anything fun? I'm wearing my America watch today. Yep, just for this podcast.
No, I think it's just the spectacle, man. Like, it's been
fun.
Really good. It's been different, but the USA has embraced it. The fans all across the world have come in. They've embraced it. You get to see all the cultures mixed together. The soccer's been generally good. There's been some weird games. There's been some weird outcomes.
Not a lot, though. Not a lot.
not a lot,
There hasn't
but
been a bunch of blowouts either, which I remember there being more blowouts, and we expected
there
it
was a
with
couple.
Cape Verde and
There was a
well, it was
couple.
like Canada won 6-0 or something
Yeah,
over
yeah, and then Sweden
Qatar,
won,
and
5-1. Like there were
there was a
some
couple that they
big
got red
ones.
cards too, like
Yeah.
Senegal won and
Hmm.
they had a red card in the game, so they
Yep.
ended up kicking their butt.
But then even still, there's been some like really small teams. You mentioned
Cape
Cape
Verde,
Verde
yep.
several times, tying all 3 games going
Yeah.
through. They play Argentina
Tying Spain,
tonight.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that
Carousel.
was wild. And so it's cool to see those stories. There's always a couple of them in the World Cup, but with the expanded format, there's just opportunity for more of that to happen, and it's a beautiful thing, man.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful
Well,
thing.
it's time for me to go pee.
Ah.